Good day, I'm Junior Researcher Adam Southgate, and today's lecture will be covering Those That Dwell Below. I'd appreciate that all hunters please subscribe as to not miss any future lectures, and also if you could, recount any of your own interactions with the monsters of the spheres in the comment area of this video, along with anything you think I could do to improve. So, to begin as always, we'll start with our general announcements. To start, we've been asked and paid by Davis & Sons to talk about their range of clockwork gas-powered weaponry for the discerning hunter. This family-owned workshop has been creating fine and deadly alternatives to traditional firearms for the past 236 years. Endeavouring to remain within the narrow band of legality that has been carved out for us, Davis & Sons handcraft powerful rifles, shotguns and spear launchers fit to take down even the hardiest the spheres can throw at you. Use code ORDER355 to try out the new Spike Launcher, an elephant gun-sized single-shot rifle firing 12-inch long by 1-inch wide nails, made from the material of your choice for whatever prey you may seek. Remember, if you're facing down a slathering beast of the abomination sphere, you want a Davis & Sons weapon in your grip. Secondly, we have a specialty contract available for all interested hunters of journeyman rank or higher. Specifically, we need at least 20 hunters for an investigation contract dealing with Rattus sapiens. The infestation springing from the landfill near Merthyr Tydfil is led by one Pinky Ironhand, a large male white rat who has created a replacement limb for himself, or more accurately has secured an old rusty nail to his stump. While one infestation of Rattus sapiens wouldn't be too much trouble in itself, Pinky, as it turns out, is quite the charismatic warlord. Apart from adopting a policy that sees far more rats than usual uplifted by their fey mushroom, he has also united many other smaller tribes from around the area into one super colony. They have already secured the large landfill site, transforming it into a huge, at least from their perspective, fortress city. The assembled council that Pinky has formed beneath himself has made contact and asked to speak to us about the terms for our surrender. While this is laughable, it does open for us an opportunity. We would like those that volunteer for the contract to go in undercover as diplomatic delegates. While inside, learn all you can about their society and defensive capabilities. We would very much like to know if their society is simply subsisting upon the large amount of rubbish piled within the tip, or if they have found a way to self-sustain within their fortress. Once you believe you've learned all you need, pretend to agree to their terms and state that you must go inform your leaders. After that, you can write your report on the situation for us and we can decide what to do next. If you are interested in the contract, please go to your local order office for more details. Before we can speak about Those That Dwell Below, we must first quickly cover the Titans, as they are so named by the Order. Their true name, if they ever actually had one, is long since lost, and as a threat, they are considered subdued, however not destroyed. Starting from the beginning, at some point in the distant past, areas of Earth's surface were walked by gigantic beings, however these Titans were eventually brought down by forces unknown. This in itself should be worrying to you, as the Titans that fell and were eventually covered by earth and rock became the mountains and valleys across Wales. Whatever did defeat the Titans must have been massively powerful within its own right, as each individual Titan is a civilization ender and there were at least hundreds in Wales alone. But getting back to the point, the wounded though not dead Titans fell into a state of recuperative hibernation as their bodies were slowly, over millions of years, blanketed by the earth. As they lay, they bled, their ichor seeping deep into the ground beneath them. This blood slowly congealed, eventually being found by ourselves and mined out in the form of coal. As you really should be aware, unless the public school system completely failed you, Wales and much of the world saw a massive coal mining boom to power the Industrial Revolution. This is where much of the problems first began, and where Those That Dwell Below originally came from. Thankfully, we understand rather a bit about the process, and the subterranean society born from it. Specifically, at least in the case of Wales, a few early miners discovered the bodies of the Titans beneath the earth on their way down toward the coal. This created a profound change in the psychology of these people, as interactions with the Eldritch Sphere without the protection of an MMB often does. They found themselves in the classic position of horrified awe, with most taking the more immediate escape. However, some, while still completely mad, began to worship the sleeping Titans. Mainly, they came to the conclusion that man should not be above their gods, and therefore set about establishing their own subterranean society. How they managed this is fascinating in itself, as they subsist completely off the ecosystems that were established upon and inside of the Titans. Over the centuries, they'd managed to set up farms deep below the earth with the originally parasitic organisms. Using both fauna and flora-like beings, these creatures now power the entire society. The society itself is broken up into 3 distinct castes. Firstly, and at the bottom rung, are the lignites, the farmers, builders, and general workmen of the society. They are both the most needed members and least esteemed, holding very little status. Those from the lignites are either the descendants of, or those that self-mutilated upon viewing the Titans, but still survived. Secondly, the Bitumites, the warriors and hunters of the underground civilization. The Bitumites are the only caste given the right to temporarily leave the underground. However, each time they do, they must receive a branded tally that acts as penance for and marks their sins. Those of the Bitumites are either the descendants of, or those that did not self-mutilate upon viewing the Titans. Finally, the Anthracites, the political, bureaucratic, and spiritual leaders of this society, or those that guide and form the cultural identity of all below. Those of the Anthracites are either the descendants of, or those who not only remained psychologically strong after viewing the Titans, but also were able to place their hands upon the Titan's skin. This caste system is extremely strict, with those of the lowest rung not even being allowed to communicate verbally. Due to this, and thanks to the subterranean luminescent fungus, the lignites have over time created a very complex sign language all their own. Those of the Bitumites and Anthracites speak a dialect of English with some Welsh mixed in, though the Bitumites are limited in regard to how loudly they can speak, not being allowed to go over the sound of a whisper. This regulation of sound is tightly bound to their faith, as each village, town, and city is situated beneath the body of a different Titan. The slow and regular heartbeat of each Titan serves 2 purposes for the underground society. Firstly, as a way of keeping their own system of time, as their world beneath the earth is completely disconnected from our system that is based on the rotation of the earth and its course around the sun. Theirs is set by the cycles the Titans' bodies go through while they sleep. Secondly, as the slow regular heartbeats of the Titans have immense religious significance to the inhabitants, they do all they can so that they do not go unheard. The heartbeats themselves are incredibly faint and therefore difficult to hear, thus the restrictions on speech that could drown out the low, soft sound. The irony is that even if the Titans were awake and roaming the earth once more, they would most likely be unable to even perceive humanity at all, like most Titanic life. Frustratingly for us, if they remained beneath the earth, they wouldn't be an issue at all. However, due to their belief system, they wish for all mankind to live as they do. To this end, they regularly sally out from beneath the earth to kidnap entire towns and villages. The Bitumenites will first scout the area above ground to find a target town, and will dedicate several weeks to simply watching their chosen quarry. Once they deem their target to be undefended, specifically by us, and uninfected by any other sphere, they will move to their next phase. They will wait until roughly 3 AM when the least amount of people are awake, and then eerily quietly, from their years of practice within the underground society, enter the town. A group of 5 to 8 will prepare to enter each home. Once every home is covered, they will begin. Quietly breaking their way into each house in choreographed synchronicity, they leave little if any time for the residents to mount any kind of defense. Once the victims are secured, they will be led beneath the earth, where they will each be exposed in turn to a titan, with most going completely insane and perishing shortly after, while the few that survive are sorted into the correct castes. Funnily enough, at least for us in Wales, there is a benefit to having this bizarre subterranean cult living beneath us. Specifically in regards to the recyclers, who, as another subterranean, albeit very different group, often seem to come into contact and conflict with those that dwell below. We are obviously unsure to what extent these wars beneath the earth rage, but we do know for sure that they are happening, and rather often. We have discovered on several occasions recycler hives that have been completely burnt out, with no hunters claiming the bounty payments. Along with this, there was also the one case outside Rumney where both those that dwell below and a large group of recyclers clashed upon the surface, as both attempted to harvest the town at the same time. Thankfully, the commotion this large-scale battle caused allowed our hunters to respond, wiping out both groups. Due to the decentralized nature of their society, with each village, town and city being a nation unto itself, we do not believe that the dwellers are making any kind of united effort against the recyclers, instead simply engaging with them when their paths cross. This is a double-edged sword, however, as there has been cases where massive recycler colonies have exploded from beneath the earth without any warning. Investigations after the colonies were dealt with all showed that in each case that recyclers were able to increase their numbers before coming to the surface due to devouring a dweller town or village. It was attempted at one point to contact the dwellers to work out an amicable relationship where we would provide them with weaponry to fight the recyclers while they would accept and leave those on the surface alone. This, as I'm sure you can gather, did not work out so well, with our delegation being taken below along with, thankfully, the empty crates of weaponry. Luckily, the Order had the foresight not to actually provide the weapons until we knew the dwellers could be trusted, the crates themselves acting as bait for any possible deception on the dwellers' part. The Order, along with the Welsh Assembly government, spends a great deal of time combing the landscape around each populated area for signs of dweller scouts having dug up from beneath the earth. As hunters, your job will be, once the breaching points have been located, to go underground and face these subterranean threats. This can be an extremely disquieting and dangerous task, as the dwellers have learned over the years of fighting against us to create a labyrinth of tunnels around their villages and towns as the first line of defense. Once the maze has eventually been breached and you reach the town proper, the bitumenites will mount a hardy defense against you, specifically to allow the members of the other two castes to escape deeper into the earth. Once their defense fails, or all others have evacuated, the remaining bitumenites will retreat, collapsing the tunnels behind them, making pursuit virtually impossible. Thankfully, if you get to the point where they've retreated from their homes and sealed themselves from them, your job is done, as they will not risk returning to that particular settlement for many decades. Sadly, this is the best we can hope for when dealing with the dwellers, as due to their mastery of their underground environment, we simply are unable to follow them past the blockades they create to stop us. When going beneath the ground, the Order suggests short stabbing weapons along with the humble shotgun. The most obvious piece of equipment, and possibly the most forgotten, is the simple torch, as when you're actively chasing down a target with the adrenaline in your veins, you tend to forget the essentials. We suggest a simple strap that attaches to your belt with your torch on the other end, and for God's sake, remember to bring spare batteries with you. Too many hunters have been lost in the dark beneath the earth simply due to the batteries in their torch running out. Those that dwell below fall into the cult specification, as they were at one point mundane human beings, while the titans they worship are undeniably eldritch entities. It is always distasteful dealing with what are essentially humans, however, much of what you will come into contact with will fall into some variation of this category. It is vital as hunters to be able to compartmentalize your life between home and work to not allow the horrific sights you witness and cause to affect your mental health. But that will be all for today. I hope you enjoyed. With Arthur's might and Merlin's wisdom, thank you.